This is not just another full moon, this is a warning for the chosen souls. If you're reading this right now, the moon is calling, and you need to listen or you risk missing the signs which will alter your path. This isn't some distant cosmic event, this is your personal reset point, a moment specifically designed to change the course of your life, and if you choose to ignore it, your path will become increasingly difficult, even chaotic. Have you ever felt like the moon is speaking directly to you, that it's not just a light in the sky, but something more? Perhaps previous lunar cycles have felt more potent, more personal to you than to others around you. There's a reason for that, and this particular lunar cycle is about to reveal it, but only if you're paying attention. You are not here by accident. If you feel a pull, a resonance with these words, it's because the moon has chosen you to receive this message. You are one of the chosen souls, individuals with a unique connection to the moon's energy, and what you do with this energy will determine the trajectory of your life. This isn't a blessing that is just bestowed upon you, it's also a challenge and a responsibility that you must rise to. You're more sensitive to the moon's pull, and as a result, more vulnerable to making mistakes that can throw you off your destined path. It's not enough to just feel it, you must also understand it, and you must be prepared to act on that understanding. This isn't just a message for anyone, this message is specifically designed for you. This information is essential, and your life will change based on your response. You have a purpose that is intimately tied to this transit, whether you fully understand it or not. Lunar cycles, especially this one, aren't simply celestial events, they are mirrors reflecting the depths of your soul. This particular cycle will not be like the others you have experienced. This is an incredibly potent time, and if you're not aware, you will misinterpret the signs. Just as a mirror shows you your reflection, the moon reveals your inner landscape, your hopes, your fears, your strengths, and most importantly, your patterns. This cycle acts as a cosmic guide, showing you both truth and deception, both positive and negative, and your job is to be able to tell the difference, which is not as easy as it seems. Past mistakes related to similar cycles can show you where you are likely to make future mistakes if you are not aware. The patterns can repeat, which is why understanding what has happened before is key to what you will experience now and in the future. You have to learn to see your patterns, because if you don't, you will be condemned to repeat them. The critical context is that, as a chosen soul, you're not just more attuned, but also more at risk if you misinterpret or ignore the signs of this upcoming lunar shift. You are about to be walking through a thin veil, a time when the spiritual and physical worlds are closer than usual. This means you are not only influenced by the moon, but by unseen forces as well, and the thinning veil makes you more vulnerable than you realize. This is both a warning and a guide. It is about what to look out for, but also how to navigate the challenges that lay ahead. The purpose is to give you the tools you need to make the right choices. It is time sensitive because the alignment that makes the veil thin is only for a specific time, which makes this message extremely urgent. You're on the edge of a major spiritual event, and there's no time to waste. This is a critical juncture, a crossroads that will determine your next chapter and perhaps even the next several chapters of your life. This message is not about knowing the future, it's about recognizing and heeding the signs so you can make better choices and get back on the path designed for you. What you do in the next few days will have a profound impact, not just on your life, but on your connection to the spiritual world. This isn't merely a personal experience. It's a part of a larger cosmic event, and you are an integral part of it. The choices you make now are not just personal, they have a spiritual weight and consequences that will ripple across multiple realms, across time and space, if you aren't careful. It is about much more than just you. You are connected to a web that reaches far beyond your understanding. The scale of this impact is monumental. The choices you make during this time have consequences that will extend far beyond your own life. This lunar shift will not only affect your internal state, but will also alter your external circumstances and your trajectory, making your choices even more important. The patterns of mistakes that will be revealed are also not limited to this time frame. They will also be what you will repeat in the future, unless you decide to do something different. It's not just about the present moment, it's about the trajectory you're setting for your future, and if you veer off path, you may not ever find your way back. The consequences of your choices are both here and now, and also long-reaching and powerful. These mistakes will not be gentle nudges, they will be life-altering and potentially devastating. A lack of specific knowledge will prevent you from navigating this lunar energy effectively, leading to chaos, confusion, and potentially a complete derailment of your spiritual path. Without understanding the information provided in this message, you'll remain in a state of spiritual ignorance, unable to interpret your own experiences or the events unfolding around you, and that is the space where the greatest mistakes happen. This knowledge isn't optional. It's a necessity, and it's designed to help you understand not only the current circumstances, but also to help you to navigate the path ahead of you. The knowledge that is offered will not just give you insights, it will give you essential tools that will allow you to see the world in a new way. The information will show you your own personal patterns and also provide a way to make new choices. This lunar shift is not just something happening to you, it's something you actively participate in, which means you have a level of personal responsibility. You have the power to navigate this energy effectively, and your choices are not meaningless. They are essential for your spiritual growth and your expansion. This is about both self-awareness and taking action. It is not enough to just see it, you must do something about what you see. You have an incredible amount of agency in how you respond to what is happening around you, and that is where your true power lies. The themes of responsibility, self-awareness, and transformation are not just concepts. They are a roadmap that will guide you to a better future, and you are required to engage with them. To understand this moment, you must have a brief overview of basic astrological concepts related to lunar cycles, particularly this specific transit that will set this lunar event apart from all others. This isn't going to be a technical explanation, but a general overview of why this event is different and more intense than those that have come before, and those that will come after. This isn't just a typical full moon, it is an anomaly that is linked to past events with similar patterns and intensity. This isn't just in the stars, this is happening to you and around you. The key element to understand is that during this time the veil thins, and that allows both positive and negative energies to become amplified, and it also changes the way you perceive reality. It's time to understand the core concept that your emotions, thoughts, and actions are not isolated during this time. They are amplified by the lunar energy, and these energies are influencing both your internal and external realities. Personal manifestation is directly tied to the lunar event, creating the idea that whatever feelings or thoughts you focus on will be brought into reality, whether you want them to or not, creating a feeling of both power and responsibility. It is not just a matter of thinking something into existence, but aligning your energy with the outcomes you desire. It is about intention, and it is also about being aware of what you are actually intending, not just what you say that you intend. You have more power than you realize right now, and it is important to know how to use it. The upcoming lunar event will act like a mirror reflecting both your strengths and your weaknesses, which is why awareness is such a key component to successfully navigating this experience. It's not just about the event, it's about what the event reveals about you and the patterns that you have been running. This content will act as a guide, and it will help you understand what's working well and what mistakes should be avoided. It is designed to help you recognize your inner patterns and to understand that you have the opportunity to choose your path forward, even when faced with challenges. This knowledge will give you an actionable method that will allow you to use awareness as a powerful tool for lasting, positive changes. This will give you the power to choose what you experience. What seems like external chaos is actually a reflection of inner discord that needs to be addressed, and the patterns that you have adopted from the past are the very same patterns that will continue to repeat if you aren't aware. These patterns revolve around how you respond to similar events, which means your old mistakes are going to be right there on the surface for you to see. Your job is to see them clearly and choose something different. This is your opportunity to transform your experience by changing your reactions. It is not about reacting, it's about choosing, and that requires awareness of what you're doing. This message offers you more than just guidance for this event. It will teach you how to navigate your life on your own terms with a greater level of understanding. Are you truly ready for the intensity of this change? If you feel like this message resonates, what are you willing to do about it? If you feel like the moon is calling, are you ready to answer? This is not just a curious exploration. This is a challenge, and your willingness to answer these questions will determine the outcome of the challenges ahead. What comes next is a matter of personal choice, and the knowledge you gain in this message is essential for a positive outcome. There is a crossroads ahead of you, and what you choose next will determine which way you go. The questions you are facing now are not just random, they are markers that will guide you on your path. There are unseen forces at play here, and that is why it is so important to be aware. It's a tension between the visible and the invisible, a mix of both positive and negative energies that can either help or hinder your progress, and you must be able to recognize the difference. The veil is thin, and the moon's influence is extremely potent, which is why misinterpreting its signals is even more dangerous than you realize. There are benevolent guides that want to help you on your path, but there are also forces that seek to misdirect you, and if you can't see them, you won't be able to tell them apart. You are on the cusp of a major spiritual revelation, but you are also in a position of vulnerability that can only be addressed by this message. Your past responses to lunar cycles and similar events can give you a clue into how you will respond to the upcoming shift, which is why it's so important to take a step back and look at your patterns. If you've noticed a certain way you react during a full moon, it isn't random, it's a piece of information that can help you to avoid the mistakes you are about to make again. There is a direct link between your past mistakes and your future outcomes, and this content is designed to help you make new choices and break those patterns once and for all. The specific mistakes you are about to make may not be obvious to you, but the content is designed to illuminate those for you so you can see them and make a different decision. There are 4 specific mistakes that can derail you completely, and you cannot afford to miss them. The information that follows will be critical to your understanding of what is happening and will provide a specific method to avoid a negative outcome during this transit, so you must listen carefully. You must be willing to participate in your own transformation. The guidance for how to avoid these mistakes will be provided in the next section, and if you aren't listening carefully, you are likely to continue on your old patterns and repeat the mistakes. Let's begin with the first critical mistake that can derail your entire experience: ignorance. This isn't about being unintelligent. It's about choosing to ignore what's happening around you by assuming this lunar event is like any other, especially if you don't immediately feel it. You might tell yourself it's just a normal moon phase because the intensity isn't immediately obvious, but for a chosen soul, this is where the greatest danger lies. It is because the energy is so subtle that it can be so easily ignored, which is why the normal moon fallacy is so potent. The veil is thinning, and as a result, the energetic shifts are more nuanced, not always explosive, and for those who are highly attuned to the energy, it can feel very different from previous lunar cycles, even though it might not be obvious to someone who isn't aware of the subtleties. It's like standing in a room where the temperature is slowly rising. You might not notice it at first, but eventually the heat will become undeniable. The chosen will still be impacted, whether they recognize it or not, and that's where the first mistake will be made. You may not realize that your inner compass is being recalibrated, so you dismiss the subtle cues as nothing of importance. This creates a spiritual blind spot, where you are walking through the world but not really seeing what is happening, and that lack of awareness is the first active choice that you are making on your path, even if you don't realize it. You might be feeling restless, but you continue with your daily routine, thinking it's just a bad day, and because the experience isn't as dramatic as you may expect, you dismiss it completely. It's not always the big things that make the biggest impact, and often, it's the most subtle shifts that change everything if you aren't aware. This mistake is not about an accidental oversight. It's about an active choice to not look closer and to not see what's right in front of you, and this refusal to look will set the stage for further mistakes. The subtle nature of this shift makes it incredibly easy to dismiss, but for a chosen soul, this dismissal is the first step off of their path, leading to increasing levels of difficulty and more challenging choices ahead. Now let's move to how this unique lunar energy manifests emotionally, because this is where you'll start to see the subtle differences that can either point you in the right direction or further down your path of misinterpretation. It's not about just having mood swings, it's about the specific types of emotions you might be experiencing, and they aren't random, they are directly related to your unique alignment with the lunar energy. You might find yourself feeling incredibly anxious one moment, and then suddenly filled with bursts of creative energy the next. This isn't about being bipolar or unstable, it's about the moon's energy acting as an emotional amplifier, magnifying what's already within you so you can see your inner world more clearly. Some of you might experience intense loneliness or a sense of isolation, even when you're surrounded by people. These aren't signs that something is wrong with you, but rather that your energy is being recalibrated, or you might find yourself crying without knowing why, or laughing at the most unexpected moments. These emotional shifts aren't arbitrary, they're specific responses to the energy that is being moved, and you must pay attention to them. Some of you may experience moments of profound joy, but then suddenly feel a deep sense of sadness, and that whiplash is part of the process of releasing old patterns, which can be confusing if you aren't aware. These aren't just random mood swings, they're a direct response to the lunar energy, and they're very specific to the person experiencing them. This isn't about just having a bad day, it's about the universe speaking to you in a language that you must learn to understand. You must learn to see your emotional states as a language from the universe, and not just random, personal feelings. The way these shifts manifest will be unique to you, and paying attention is the key to truly understanding what you are meant to learn from the experience. It's not just about what you feel, but how those feelings are directing you. These emotional shifts are not the only ways you'll be able to recognize the energy at play. You'll also be able to feel it in your physical body, which will also act as a kind of compass, if you know what to look for. And these physical experiences aren't just random symptoms either, they're a form of communication, a way for the universe to show you what needs attention. You might experience restless sleep, where you are waking up in the middle of the night, and your dreams are incredibly vivid and feel very real, which is not your imagination. Or you might notice changes in your energy levels, feeling incredibly energized one minute and completely depleted the next. This is not a sign of illness, but a sign of an energetic shift in your system. Some of you may even feel lightheaded or a tingling sensation in your limbs as the energy is shifting and moving in your body. These are not random occurrences. They are specific responses to the lunar energy and the thinning veil, and are designed to guide you on your path. Your physical body is highly attuned to these energies, and when your physical experiences are seen as a form of communication, rather than as a sign that something is wrong with you, you will be able to get the information you need. The universe is always communicating with you. It's up to you to listen. It's about shifting your perspective from seeing these experiences as random to understanding them as direct messages from the universe. These physical changes are not something you should dismiss, but should be seen as a call to pay closer attention because they are directly related to the thinning veil. It is not just about what you feel in your mind, but what you are experiencing in your physical body that will give you key insights about what you are meant to learn. The sensations are there to guide you, but you must be able to interpret them correctly. These sensations are designed to act as an internal compass, showing you the way. And this brings us to the second mistake, misinterpretation. This is where the first mistake, the normal moon fallacy, sets the stage for further challenges. You might experience those emotional and physical shifts, but you dismiss them as personal issues, rather than seeing them as direct results of the lunar energy. You might tell yourself that you're just having a bad day, or that you're feeling anxious because of work, or that your sleepless nights are just due to stress. You personalize everything, and by not understanding the source, you misinterpret the message, which leads to increasing levels of confusion and chaos. You start blaming yourself, thinking there's something wrong with you, and that you are somehow flawed or broken, and that you aren't able to handle the events around you. You begin to personalize what's happening to you, which is a critical mistake, because it prevents you from seeing the larger picture. You are mistaking the universe's language as a personal failing, and this personalization trap can lead you even further down the path of confusion. This disconnect makes you feel incredibly isolated, and you start to think that no one understands you, which will isolate you even further, which will also misdirect you on your path. The truth is that this is not a personal issue, it's a consequence of not understanding the language of the universe. This lack of understanding then leads to further misinterpretation, making it difficult to know which way to turn. You are not experiencing chaos, you are experiencing the consequences of not understanding, and that can lead to further misinterpretations. You are not broken, you are simply misreading the signs, which leads to more mistakes. This mistake is about not seeing the bigger picture and believing that everything is only about you, which causes you to fall into a self-centered view that further disconnects you from the world around you. Now, let's delve into the invisible and to the thinning of the veil. This is where the tension begins to escalate and the spiritual realities become much more palpable. The veil between worlds is thinner than it has been in years, perhaps even in your entire life. This means that the spiritual realm is closer than ever, and you are more attuned to both the benevolent forces and the shadowy entities that exist beyond your normal perception. You might start having synchronicities, seeing numbers like 11 everywhere you look, or having a sudden sense of déjà vu that feels more than just a familiar moment. Your dreams may become incredibly vivid and lucid, carrying messages and guidance, and they aren't just your imagination. They are real messages from the spiritual world, and it's incredibly important to pay attention to them. You might also start feeling like you are being watched, or seeing figures in your peripheral vision, or suddenly feeling a presence just behind you. These aren't your imagination running wild. They are signs of heightened spiritual activity and that the universe is opening up to you. It's a time when the invisible becomes more visible, when the unseen forces make their presence known, and you must be ready to see it. You must also be ready to handle who or what might be watching you. The heightened awareness during this time can be both wonderful and terrifying, and both must be viewed with equal measures of courage and caution. While there are benevolent beings wanting to guide you on your path, there are also forces that seek to misdirect you and will play on your fears and lack of understanding, especially if you are misinterpreting your own experiences. This creates a tension around spiritual experiences, because while they may seem amazing, they require the ability to discern their true source. You aren't just observing the universe, you are now a participant in a reality where the spiritual realm has become much more present, and that reality requires both awareness and caution. The thinning veil is an opportunity, but also a challenge, and this leads us to the third mistake, distrust. It's not enough to just notice the spiritual signs, you must also know how to interpret them, and when you dismiss them as mere coincidence or imagination, you are walking down the wrong path. This is where that second mistake, that personalization trap, becomes even more dangerous. When you start thinking that your experiences are only about you, it's easier to dismiss them as irrelevant or unimportant. You tell yourself, it's just a dream, or that number is just a coincidence, and by doing so, you are completely blocking yourself off from the messages you are meant to receive. This distrust stems from the initial ignorance, the normal moon fallacy, and compounds the problem, further disconnecting you from your spiritual guidance. You begin to fall into a pattern of cynicism, a belief that nothing is real, that everything is random, and this is exactly what the shadowy forces want you to believe. They are there to amplify your fears, and that cynicism will make you even more vulnerable. If you have been leaning into negative interpretations, the cynicism will further disconnect you from your intuition, and you'll miss the key guidance you are meant to receive. You may find that you are trusting external sources, even though your own intuition is warning you, and that is a sign that your distrust has reached a critical level. The skepticism itself is the mistake, and it's what keeps you trapped in your own mind, cut off from the higher knowledge that is available to you. You must learn to trust your own knowing, even when it doesn't make sense to your logical mind. It is time to understand that not all information is from a positive source, and you must learn to discern what's real from what is designed to misdirect you. The universe is always communicating with you, but if you don't trust the messages, you will miss out on key information that can change your life. This distrust is a block that prevents you from fully engaging with the spiritual world and the path that was designed specifically for you. This distrust closes doors that were meant to open. And now the tension is heightened because we move into the inaction paradox, which is the idea that this lunar transit is designed to show you what you must release in order to move forward. But this isn't about just passively receiving information. It's about actively participating in your own transformation, and not taking action is in itself an action that has serious consequences. This is where the idea of responsibility becomes much more clear. You might be aware of a limiting belief or a self-sabotaging behavior, but you are refusing to change it. You've heard the message, you understand that it's holding you back, but you refuse to let it go. You are choosing not to choose. This inaction is a paradox because it is presented as a lack of choice, but it is in reality the biggest choice you can make, which will then direct you further off your path. You are choosing stagnation over growth, and the universe is designed to move forward, and when you resist that movement, you create friction, chaos, and pain. The inaction is essentially a form of active resistance to your own evolution, and by not doing anything, you are actively making a choice that will cause you to move further from the path designed for you. You might know that you need to forgive someone or release an old hurt, but you're choosing to hold on to it, and that inaction is making your path more difficult than it needs to be. This lunar transit is asking you to confront yourself, and by choosing inaction, you are avoiding what you are meant to learn. This paradox deepens the tension by highlighting your agency and your power to make a difference. The inaction is not neutral, it is an active choice that carries consequences, and that is why this is so incredibly important. What you do now and what you fail to do now will directly affect your path and your future experience. This is where the true revelation begins, because the journey of a chosen soul isn't about avoiding mistakes, but understanding them as necessary catalysts for growth, a way for the universe to show you where your attention is needed. The lunar event is acting like a cosmic mirror, reflecting back the areas within yourself that require deeper awareness, so you can create change from a place of understanding, not fear. This intense lunar energy is specifically designed to expose these areas, not to punish you, but to give you the opportunities for a true transformation. Think of a sculptor carefully chipping away at a block of stone. Each mistake, each removal of what isn't needed, reveals the true form underneath. The mistakes aren't a sign that you are off path. They are a sign that you are on the path designed specifically for you. True spiritual progress isn't a linear climb to perfection. It's a dance of navigating challenges and learning from each step, even the missteps. These moments are evidence of your spiritual evolution, and not something to be feared, but a signal to take a closer look. The key is not to avoid mistakes, but to understand the wisdom they offer so you can become the person you were meant to be. The mistakes themselves are not the problem, but rather the lack of awareness that is the real challenge. And this is where the pattern of mistakes comes to its true culmination. The power lies in breaking the cycle of repeating them, and in these moments, you must remember that the content you have received was specifically designed to help you do so. Consider this. Repeated mistakes create a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy, where your actions become a pattern that you are then forced to repeat. But by breaking free of this cycle, you actively create a different reality. It's not about just not repeating the same errors, but about creating a new pattern of conscious choice. Like a spiral that starts to curve upwards, you are creating a different outcome based on the choices you are making now. These patterns are not unbreakable, but are malleable and can be changed through a conscious awareness and a deeper understanding of your own behaviors. The cycle of mistakes is deeply connected to personal responsibility because you always have the ability to change the course of the pattern as long as you are aware of the underlying mechanics. This shows that the power is not outside of you, but within your grasp, and you always have a choice to create something new. Understanding the patterns is the key to manifesting a different reality, one that is more aligned with your highest potential. This brings us to the resolution of why those who are called to this path are more susceptible to mistakes during this time. It's not a weakness, but their heightened sensitivity that allows them to receive a greater level of spiritual information, which is also the same reason why they are more vulnerable to misdirection. This is where you must learn to see your sensitivity as your strength. Just like a tuning fork that is both incredibly sensitive and capable of generating pure tones, so too is your sensitivity both a gift and a responsibility. The veil is a double-edged sword, allowing for greater spiritual awareness, while also increasing opportunities for confusion, and it is up to you to use your knowledge to navigate this dynamic with wisdom and discernment. The dual nature of this transit is not a punishment, but an invitation to master your gifts and learn how to use them in the most effective way. The key is not to try to shut down your sensitivity, but to learn how to manage it with awareness and intention. There is no escaping these events, and the best approach is to move through them with courage and a deeper understanding of your own design. This provides a crucial perspective shift. Your mistakes are not negative, but essential steps in your spiritual evolution. The purpose is not to be perfect, but to be fully aware of the choices that are available to you in every moment. The information that was shared here is not designed to place blame or shame, but to offer a path of compassion, understanding, and learning. Remember that mistakes are opportunities to grow, and this lunar transit is designed to amplify those opportunities so that you may create a deep shift in perspective. What if each mistake was not a problem, but rather a clue? It's time to see them as opportunities to align with your true purpose, which is not about what you did wrong, but how you choose to respond in each moment. What if the purpose of this lunar transit was not to test you, but to give you a chance to see a new version of yourself? The understanding is not just about you as an individual, but also how you are connected to something greater, and these are not separate experiences. This is where the journey becomes integrated into a broader cosmic context, because individual transformations are interconnected with the collective evolution. Those on this path do not just have an individual journey, but also a group purpose, and their individual choices matter to the whole. It's time to see your personal efforts as essential for the awakening of humanity, and not just isolated experiences that are disconnected from the greater whole. Your actions have a ripple effect that goes far beyond what you might perceive, and by choosing to move forward on your path, you are also affecting the overall evolution of consciousness. Each step that you take is also a step for the collective, and it is important to understand that your experiences are not in vain, but essential for the overall shift. Just as a single drop of water creates ripples across a pond, so too do your actions have a widespread impact, and it is time to see the connection between your personal choices and the world you wish to create. Now it is time to understand the deeper meaning of your patterns, because they aren't just personal quirks, but are actually clues to your soul's contract. Each pattern is a signpost directing you towards self-discovery, an opportunity to see your past mistakes as an essential part of your spiritual design. They are not just random experiences, but rather a system of information that is uniquely designed for your individual needs. Some patterns may feel negative, but it's important to see that their role is to help you decipher and decode your personal narrative in a way that serves your highest good. Understanding a pattern is the first step in shifting it into something that supports your growth rather than hinders it, and you have the power to choose a different outcome. Each of your patterns are like pieces of a puzzle, and when you begin to put them together, you will see the complete picture and how each piece connects to the others. This understanding is the key to making more conscious choices about your future and understanding the path that has been specifically designed for you. And now, let's build the implications of personal responsibility, because you have the power to shape not only your own destiny, but also to impact the trajectory of collective consciousness. It's crucial to see that your actions have consequences that extend far beyond your own personal sphere, because the energy that you put into the world will have a direct impact, either positive or negative. As those who are on this path, you have the power to be catalysts for change, and your personal actions have far-reaching implications. This shows that your personal choices are a form of spiritual activism, because they extend far beyond you as an individual and are called to action within the wider community. Just like a single candle can illuminate a dark room, so too can your individual awareness have a powerful effect on collective consciousness. And when you shine your light, you also illuminate the path for others. It is time to understand that your actions have consequences, and it is important to step fully into your responsibility to create a better future. This is where the true transformation begins, because it's not about avoiding mistakes, but using them as a catalyst to align with your highest potential. The mistakes themselves are not the problem, but are opportunities to discover new facets of your own path. This process is designed to lead you to an expanded sense of self, where you can fully embrace your spiritual purpose. The intention of this transit is not just personal healing, but also to prepare you for a greater path, and you must use your wisdom to move through with awareness and intention. Like a butterfly emerging from a chrysalis, your potential for profound personal growth is always available if you are willing to step into your power. The transformation is not just a feeling, but also a tangible experience that is ready to unfold if you choose to move forward. This is not about eliminating your shadow, but integrating it so that you become a more fully realized and empowered version of yourself. And now all the threads come together, because the knowledge of the mistakes and their patterns provides the answers to the initial questions and shows you what you must do with that understanding. It's time to see that knowledge is not passive, but a call to action. By resolving the questions and showing you the path forward, the intention is to give a sense of closure, while simultaneously empowering you to make different choices. It's not just about knowing the answers, but about understanding why the questions were presented in the first place, so you can take that insight and create a new future. These threads are designed to show that each cycle builds on the one before, leading you to this moment of culmination, where you have a choice about what you create next. What if your experiences had a purpose, and you were finally able to understand the meaning that had been hidden for so long? This is where all the pieces finally fit together, creating a cohesive whole. This completes the pattern of warning and guidance and shows you how to move forward, because the future depends on the choices you make right now. The warning was never a threat, but an invitation to choose a different path, knowing that you now have the tools to do so. You were never meant to remain stuck, but rather to keep growing and expanding, and this knowledge is the key to your journey. Like a map that shows your path, you are now able to see your direction and where you are meant to go. It's not just about avoiding a bad outcome, but it's about creating a beautiful future, one that is guided by awareness and intention. The key questions have been answered, and now it's up to you to put the answers into action and create a new reality based on the knowledge you have been given. The future is not something that is just happening to you, but something that you are actively creating. This shows how to apply these insights and how to take action on the knowledge you've gained so you can move beyond the content and into full ownership of your experience. This is not just theoretical, but it's a practical framework that will guide you through your next steps. These questions are not just meant to be answered, but must also lead you to take action and to create something new. Think of this knowledge as a toolbox filled with practical tools that you can now use to build the future that you have been dreaming of. You now have a clear and actionable framework that will help you create tangible changes. It is important to take personal responsibility because the power lies in using this knowledge and not just having it, and your actions will have a powerful effect on your future. And now, it's time to release the tension, knowing that you are not alone and you are fully equipped to navigate your path by relying on your inner wisdom and the guidance that is always available to you. You have always been in control, even through the challenges, and now you must make choices that are aligned with your true path. Just like a sunrise after a long night, the tension begins to dissipate as you move from confusion to a place of clarity and purpose. You are not at the mercy of the universe, but rather, you are an active participant in it, and the choices you make going forward will be more aligned with your highest potential. The release is more than just an end to a problem, but also an invitation to move forward with confidence and excitement for what is coming. This is not the end of your journey, but rather the beginning of a new one. Now it is time to look ahead, because this lunar transit is just the beginning, and there are always more layers of understanding to explore. What if your spiritual path is not a destination, but an endless journey of discovery and transformation? It's important to remember that your journey is not a final destination, but an ongoing process of growth, so continue your exploration with an open mind and a thirst for knowledge. These new questions are designed to inspire you and to create a deeper sense of curiosity about your own potential. You are always expanding and transforming, so be open to new possibilities and continue asking those important questions. This new awareness extends to all future lunar transits and events, because this knowledge is not just for the present, but for all time. It is important to remember that your journey is not just for yourself, but also for the collective awakening, and that your place within the grand scheme is essential. You are a chosen soul, and these insights are not just for your benefit, but also to help you to help others, because what you create will have a ripple effect. Just like a network of interconnected lights, your path is shared with others, so use your experiences to create a positive impact and a deeper connection with those around you, and that is how you will create a better future. Now, let's create a community. Share your experiences and thoughts in the comments below, and let's continue the conversation beyond this video, because your insights and perspectives will contribute to a collective understanding. It's time to explore these topics together, sharing our wisdom and building a network of support. It is time to see that you are not alone, and that this journey is meant to be explored in community. Together, we can create an even more powerful experience, and this is how we will move into the next stage of growth. This is an invitation to not only share your experiences, but to also use the content to explore your own questions and to seek your personal truths. And finally, it's time to take the next step, and remember that this is just the first step on a path that is always evolving. Subscribe for future content and continue learning, growing, and creating the future you desire, because you have the power to do so. There is always more to discover, and you are now equipped for this continuous journey. The next stage will be even more intense and will require an even more solid foundation of personal responsibility and awareness. The knowledge you've gained here will help you move forward with confidence and excitement. You are a chosen soul, and more information will be revealed as the journey continues. This is not the end, It's only the beginning, and what you create next is completely up to you.